Well, it depends what people mean by radical change. I thought the most important intervention in this leadership contest so far was yesterday, Nigel Lawson writing in the Telegraph and saying that what we need is a proper Conservative approach to this, that the approach that's being proposed by Liz Truss, which is let's borrow even more money than we're borrowing at the moment and cut taxes, although it's unclear which taxes, however, and how we're going to fund it. But that was tried, of course, by Ted Heath under Anthony Barber. And the point that Nigel Lawson was making yesterday was that he and Margaret Thatcher vowed that they would never do that again because it produced a big rise in unemployment and a big rise in inflation. If there was a magic solution to the sort of position that we're in today, politicians would have found it. And frankly, when politicians promise me things that sound too good to be true, I believe it's because it's too good to be true.
Promising that he'll get inflation under control.
Well, that's the main thing, is to get inflation under control.
Yeah, but that sounds too
and
good
the problem
to be true
at the present time, we've got inflation under control before, and the thing is to understand what inflation is. Inflation, post-pandemic, is the fact that the global supply, whether that supply is fuel or food, supply has risen too slowly in relation to global demand. And that's what's causing inflation. The chairman of the Federal Reserve last week, when he put up American interest rates, made the point that the Federal Reserve in America is having to dampen down demand by raising interest rates until supply catches up. And his argument, which I think is correct, is that if you allow demand to run away at the present time, you'll actually create more inflation rather than less. I'm afraid you cannot simply defy the laws of economics, however much people might want it to be so.
Dr. Liam Fox, good morning to you. How much do you think this news from the Bank of England yesterday helps or hinders Rishi Sunak's ambitions for PM? It has really split our viewers this morning that are getting in touch. Some saying that Rishi Sunak knows his economics. He's got economic expertise. He obviously brought us the furlough scheme. Others saying that he's been the man in charge of the economy for 2 years and we're in this mess. What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, to deal with that second point, I suppose by that argument he's also responsible for inflation in the United States and inflation in the European Union, where the level's about the same as the UK. This is a global crisis, largely a result of the pandemic and as I said, that displacement and imbalance between supply and demand in the global economy, and it's got to be dealt with. It's been worsened by the war in Ukraine and the increase in fuel prices, as the Governor of the Bank of England said yesterday. But there's no magic wand for this, and I think that what people are seeing in Rishi Sunak is someone who's willing to tell it to them straight. He's not saying there's an easy way out of this, because there isn't an easy way out of it, and we're going to have to batten down the hatches. And when he's backed not only by Nigel Lawson, Mrs Thatcher's most successful Chancellor, but also William Hague and Michael Howard, previous leaders of the party, I think we need to listen to those voices of experience.